Today's video is brought to you by Strides to Success, located at 1350 Terry Drive, Plainfield, Indiana.
Strides to Success creates custom programs to meet the needs of the community by incorporating specific goals that support learning and helping people make significant changes in their life. We cater to children and adults with social and emotional challenges through fun, interactive activities partnered with horses. Strides is well known as an innovative think tank within the equine-assisted industry, offering both consulting services and professional development opportunities. If you have questions, feel free to email Strides at info@stridestosuccess.org. My name is Quinn Grow. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I am an art therapist working towards my ATR, which is a registration in art therapy, through the Art Therapy Credentials Board.
Being an art therapist, what are some of the most common misconceptions that you feel like people have about it?
I think one of the main misconceptions is that it's only for children. Art therapy can be used with anyone. It doesn't matter your age, where you come from, if you're good at art or if you're not good at art, like anybody can do art therapy. I think one of the other main misconceptions about art therapy is that you just go and do artwork. A lot of the times the art therapist has specific directives that they use to help guide you through thinking in a different way or experiencing your emotions in a different way to help you better conceptualize your experience and maybe see things from a different viewpoint.
Do you feel that art kind of offers another element to the therapeutic process, or even with the way that the brain interacts?
Definitely. I would say that there's a certain level of interaction that happens when the art is involved, just because we have our natural barriers set up within our mind when we're talking, and we're used to like saying things the way that we always say them. So we have those natural barriers, but when you put art supplies in front of someone, oh my goodness, all of a sudden stuff comes up and you don't even realize it. You have aha moments all the time. It's the magic of art therapy.
What is your favorite mediums or techniques that you like to use?
Within art therapy or outside of art therapy?
In art therapy and then outside.
Okay. In art therapy, I absolutely adore using tempera paint sticks. They look like glue sticks, but they're actually paint that has been dried semi part of the way. And then it takes about 2 minutes once you use them on paper or canvas for them to dry. And they're just so much fun.
And outside of art?
Outside of art, right now, I really focus on tapestry making. So I made my own loom. It is very rustic. I do it all by hand, so it takes a while unless I get really thick yarn, and then it goes really quick. So those tapestries are just for hanging. They're not actually rugs. And it's more of a meditative process for me. It helps me relax. Outside of that, creatively speaking, I find gardening to be an art form. So I garden all the time. I garden at my own house, and I'm starting collecting friends' houses, and I'm designing their garden. I'm getting to the point now where I can pick certain plants for certain people and be like, okay, this is the level of intensity that you want with your garden, or not intense at all. So here, let's plant these, and you can just leave it, and it'll go wild and look pretty. When
you were going into art, did you always know you wanted to do art therapy, or did you want to be an artist, or how did that even begin?
Yeah, so I'm one of those weirdos who knew from high school what she wanted to do. It was around my junior year of high school. I knew I wanted to do something with art and helping people, but I didn't think it existed in the world. Everything's more dramatic then, obviously. So I was at a summer camp, and I was talking to a counselor and going over this whole drama of my life. I don't know what it's going to be. And she's like, I could really see you doing something with art and therapy. And I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't exist. The next week, I went on my first college visit, and there was a degree called pre-art therapy. I was like, oh my gosh, it does exist. So I looked into it further, and it was kind of cool because I had started noticing different art therapists, and I got invited to events with art therapists, and it just kind of all fell into place, and I've just been an art therapist in that world ever since.
And do you feel like art therapy, just the information really isn't out there as much as other artists' fields?
I feel like communication about art therapy is in pockets. There's different groups of people who talk a lot about it. My group, obviously, we talk about it all the time because we are it. But yeah, depending on where you are, like it may not be as prevalent. Like here in Indianapolis, like there are quite a few art therapists, and it's a growing field, and there's 3 schools in Indiana now that provide art therapy master's programs. I feel like it's always getting bigger. The information is out there, but I feel like depending on where you are, you may or may not have heard of it.
But do you feel like as art therapy is gaining momentum, do you feel that has something to do with also the acceptance that mental health is a real issue and that people do need to take their mental health seriously, like the way that they take their bodies and taking care of their physical selves as well?
Definitely, yeah.
What are some of the stigmas that you find frustrating within the mental health industry?
How to word this in not therapy words. So, history lesson. So, generally, mental health came from a place of medical health. So, there's 2 kind of categories of perceiving wellness as far as mental health goes, and a lot of times mental health can fall back into that medical model,
right,
where you're treating the patient. But then there's this other model where it's a little bit more like person to person. It's like we're actually like having a conversation, and like, you know what's best about yourself, I don't know what's best about you. So I think that's something that the mental health field is always working towards being more of putting the client and their knowledge of themselves first.
Now, do you feel that mental health and art have always kind of gone hand in hand?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're just allowing yourself to make art the way that you want to make art. I mean, if you're going for more of the academic model, which is always good, and art therapists need the academic model of art to be able to gain a greater understanding of art all around.
Yes.
So pay attention to your art teachers. But as far as like expressing your soul, like you just gotta let loose. Like I think of like Frida Kahlo and like how like she put her soul on canvas.
Yes.
Like you knew
absolutely
the ins and outs of her and everything that's going on. And Picasso, yeah, he had his blue period, and yeah, there's so many different artists out there who have artwork that express their emotions.
What would you say to the kids out there that are considering going into this field?
I would suggest looking up the American Art Therapy Association homepage online. You can get a lot of information there. You can find art therapists in your area. Talk with art therapists. See if it would be a good fit for you. Yeah.
Based on just your, your own personal experiences, what do you feel that art has done for you?
I would say, I talk about this all the time with my clients. It's just like creative expression is such an important way to get emotions out. And I talk a lot about like, especially with anxiety and depression and stuff, you just talk about like not keeping it inside of you. And I know even when I was in high school, I found myself doing projects that I created on my own that, years later when I was in my master's degree, I was like, oh, I did that project on my own when I was in high school, like for my own well-being. Right. So there are just so many different ways that we can not have to like keep our emotions to ourselves, that we can put them out there. And even if you're not going to share that piece of artwork with someone, like you can have it outside of yourself and know it more than if you were just letting it swim around in your brain. Because what happens is when we create artwork, or when we talk about our emotions, or when we write it down creatively or just not creatively, we're allowing our thoughts to go through our prefrontal cortex. And what happens is that allows this like feeling, thought thing that's kind of mushy become reality, and then we're able to process through it quicker, and we're able to get the help that we need. We're able to move on. So there is a power in actually physically manifesting it in a creative context. Yes, definitely. What would be, if you could, go back to your younger self? Yeah. What would be some of the advice you would give to your younger self? I think just keep going. Just keep with it. Keep going. I think anyone who would find themselves in the situation of trying to become an art therapist as well, it would be, you know, like press through, like, because it does get hard at times. And I know back then I didn't really have anyone to tell me, like, yeah, it's going to be difficult. I felt like a lot of people sugarcoated it, like, it's amazing, it's wonderful, like, it's going to be the best thing ever, and keep going. It's like, yeah, but it really is going to be hard. Like, it's a hard program.
Right.
It's hard to learn mental health and art at the same time.
Right.
And then have your life on top of it. Like, it can be very challenging, but at the same time, it's more rewarding in the end than the pain that it takes to go through it.
For the kids at home, if there is any advice you would just want to give them in general, just, I know that we're coming out of a pandemic, we're coming kind of trying to get back to normal, so any advice that you would give to them, or...
Yeah, honestly, I'd say kudos to you guys, because with all the teens that I work with, I am constantly amazed at their grit. And I think that you guys have been absolutely amazing through this time. And if you have anxiety, and if you have depression, if it's been really rough, keep going. And if you need help, reach out to administration at your school, reach out to counselors at your school, see if you can find a therapist and get extra help, because it is out there for you.
And what would you say to the parents?
Listen to your kids. If they're experiencing something, take the time to understand where they're coming from, even if you don't completely agree with them. Because there's something at the root of what they're experiencing, and if they're having behavior, there's something at the root of it. And to best help them become the well-functioning adults that they will eventually become, we have to acknowledge their pain and help them through it, even if their pain is manifesting in behavioral issues.
So what has been your favorite experience since becoming an art therapist?
Oh my goodness. You know, I wouldn't say there's one experience. I would say it's an experience that happens over and over and over again. When I have clients do artwork and it reveals something to them about themselves, and that aha moment that people get from making artwork. And I've had it for myself making my own artwork. It's just something magical to witness. And it's a delight. It warms your heart, but then also it's more than that, because it's like it allows that person to further their well-being in a very deep and meaningful way, which I don't think we get a lot in society these days.
Thanks for having us all the way down here. Really appreciate it. I know it's a little strange.
If you are seeking mental health services in the central Indiana area, you can always reach out to me, Quinn Grow, at 317-203-8337, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can also reach out to the number 211 at any time that you may need it, and they can connect you with mental health resources. If you are outside of the Indiana area, we will leave some resources for you in the description below.